Okay, good morning, Lesley-Ann. It's a lovely Wednesday morning here, nice and bright. Walk over to the arena, and we're going to broadcast this game from the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex in St. Andrews, in Brunswick. And lead for Ontario is about to throw the first rock to get this game started. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
Good. I had a really good sleep.
So the lead from Ontario is Shannon Werner, and they are playing Saskatchewan today.
Yeah. So like a lot of teams, a lot of the younger teams here, they're starting out with bring it into top four, playing it open, and get a little bit used to the ice, get rid of the first end jitters.
Yeah, this will be hopefully now a clean end for the teams, just like you said, to get their feet wet and get them used to the ice conditions. So the lead for Saskatchewan is Samantha McLaren. And these girls curl out of Moose Jaw Ford Curling Center.
Yeah, a little hit and roll there. And so Ontario is going to come right back into the rings. No guards, no risk right now, just play it nice and open.
So we have some other action here this morning. So on sheet A, we have Quebec playing Nova Scotia in the girls. We have the host team from New Brunswick playing Alberta. On sheet D, we have Northwest Territories playing Manitoba. And then on sheet E, we have Northern Ontario guys playing Quebec. So we'll keep you updated as it goes along.
Okay, just a pretty basic end. Ontario brought their rock in, and Saskatchewan's they're gonna try and hit roll to the side and try and keep their shooter in. But again, just a little bit over curl and shooter rolling out.
This is a basic strategy for a lot of teams coming into their first end of play. Like you said, it keeps them getting used to the ice, different paths.
Yeah, even though they have the 9-minute pre-game practice, you still once that first rock is thrown, there's a little bit of nerves.
This is a great opportunity though for the teams to get their draw weight, figure out where the paths are, what kind of weight they need to be throwing at their shots.
Exactly. So Brienne, the second for Ontario, Brienne Donegan, just doing what her teammate did, throwing into the top 12. And the Saskip, Skylar Ackerman's asking for hit and roll.
And this is a great game for both these teams. They're both 2-0 going into this game.
Yeah, it's a long competition, but it's already Wednesday, and you start looking at your records a little bit. And there's a very good hit and roll.
So Ontario now is going to have to deal with this. Make sure they get out to the berm. So this competition here is set up in two sets of pools, a pool A and a pool B, and there's 26 teams from all across the Canada.
Yeah, we have on the boys' side there's 12 boys teams, so 2 pools of 6, and on the women's side there's actually 14 teams, so 2 pools of 7. Nice hit and stick there for Ontario.
There's no curling over at the Heather Curling Club this morning, so all play will be done in this arena this morning.
Okay.
Murray, after this, there'll be a mixed doubles competition?
Yeah, once the pool play is finished, the top 4 teams will go into a championship round, and then the other teams will play in a mixed doubles format on the last 2 days. So they're going to have a lot of fun. Even if they don't make the championship round, there's still a lot of curling left for them. And we saw how everyone enjoyed mixed doubles at the Olympics. So they're going to have a chance to be paired up with someone from a different province and play mixed doubles. It's a great developing thing. Plus, it's a great social thing. You get to meet curlers
from across Canada, and you get to work with a different coach, I think.
That's correct. Yeah. They have the coaches will be out there on the ice, and so you might have a boy from one province and a girl from another, and a coach from a third province.
So Ontario are playing this really clean. Instead of choosing to come around or draw, they're peeling off the front, so they're not giving Saskatchewan a chance. They leave the guard in play, so I think Saskatchewan's going to come try to draw around.
Yeah, this is the opportunity Saskatchewan was looking for. Ontario, instead of rolling onto the rings, stayed outside, so it's an effective, it's a corner guard, and there's, with the curl, there's a chance to come around. See how much it goes off the center line.
You can hear the Northern Ontario fans out in the stands with their moose calls.
Yeah, this is tremendous. You can see the Nova Scotia people with their the blue noser hats, I guess they're called, and Southwesters, and Saskatchewan people in green, and this is just awesome event.
This looks like it's
nice
shot.
It's a very good shot. Just biting top 8, half buried maybe, or maybe edge on edge. It's hard to tell from our vantage point, but it's open enough that Ontario feels that they can make a hit. Ontario Vice, Sarah Bailey. Throwing what looks to be like a board, sort of a board weight hit. Sweepers are working on to keep it from wrecking on the guard. This looks like a real, oh no, it did curl a bit more, and she wrecked on the guard. So now Saskatchewan has that chance to split the rings.
I think Madison is going to try to split the rings here, and this is a good setup for their deuce.
So inside out draw, we're not sure if that path might be a little bit quicker than outside in. We'll keep track of that as the game goes on. But this looks like it's gliding pretty good. Brushers haven't cleaned it or anything, so it must be good weight.
It's a great draw.
Yeah. Good job.
So they have a couple of options here. They can hit the high rock and try to roll towards, so they can set up for their second shot.
Yeah, the two options, like you said, hit the high one and roll towards shot, or just hit shot and try to roll the other way. Either way, the Saskatchewan has done a good job of splitting the ring. So whatever shot the Ontario skip has, just wants to make sure hit first and roll second.
I think if you're trying to set up a double for your last shot, the better shot would be to hit the top rock so you can roll towards.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what. Try to get that. Try to get your shooter over near the other one so that you have a chance for a double. Looks like a good throw. Got a bit of a roll. most important thing is that that Madeline got shot out of this, and so Saskatchewan has to make a play on it. If they would have rolled out, then Saskatchewan would have had a draw to split the rings again. But by staying in and being shot, it forces Saskatchewan to make a play.
And I think that's where control weight is so important. This really makes them forced to have the hit and stick. If you hit and roll out.
Yeah, no, that was a really nice weight, a really nice throw that the Ontario skipper made. Okay, so now it's up to Skylar to make a play on that red stone. Hit and stay in the ring, slide 2. Yeah, very nice shot. Just like we were talking about the other day, just loving the weight that the young people are throwing now for for control and board, and make sure that they stay in the rings when they have to. And it's pretty impressive.
I think a lot of that is when they're starting to watch the games on TV.
Yeah.
And a lot of times coaches will sit with their players and either tape the games or sit down and watch the games with them, and they're watching the kind of weight most of the players are throwing. And unless you need to move a bunch of rocks,
right,
they are all throwing control or control down kind of weight.
Yeah, it's good. So Madeline is taking the same path that she took on her first hit. Knows this path, knows what weight she wants to throw. Yeah, pretty good. Sweepers are on and off, so it's going to be close.
Another great shot by Ontario.
Yeah, that's the best that they could do in this situation with the rings, with the Saskatchewan spread out in the rings. So this is again, and you have to make a play on this. It's not a gimme.
If you watch the players, routine is so important this game. They will do the exact same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it's really become important as coaches. I know we have our players write down their pre-shot routine and go over it. You see the pro curlers do it. You see the pro golfers do it. They have pre-shot routines that they do over and over again. Okay, so we're looking for a hit and stick for 2. Brushers aren't sweeping it.
The weight looks up a little
bit more. Yeah, unfortunately, just either a little outside or a little more weight, I think, than what was planned, and Skylar hit and rolled out. So Saskatchewan gets on the board. Just a bit of a missed opportunity for their deuce. Okay, so after scoring 1 there in the first end, Saskatchewan's going to lead off the second end. Ontario will maintain or get hammer. They'll have the last shot advantage. And we're seeing the same sort of pattern where Saskatchewan's calling for a rock in the top 4. Not ready to mix it up, not ready to put any guards out to try to generate any offense.
And a lot of teams will play to the house without hammer, and then they will let the other teams figure out if they either then want to come in and throw a corner guard, or sometimes they'll keep it clean for a few ends.
That's for sure. That's a good strategy. See what the other team's going to do. Are they going to hit, or are they going to put up the corner?
And again, we talked about this before. It's a philosophy. My philosophy is if there's not rocks in play, then they can't score.
Yep.
You don't have hammer.
Yeah, be a little more offensive minded with Hammer, and maybe a little bit on the defensive side without Hammer, unless you're behind and of course and have to steal. But no, that's a good philosophy. And the one really great thing about this competition too is that in between ends there's about a 30-second delay while they clear the rocks off and get ready, and at that time coaches are allowed to interact. And I think for the development of the sport, um, it's not a lot of time. It's not like you're going to delay the game or anything, but you can just have a little comment. So what do you think about that, Sam?
I think that's an amazing. They do this, and the kids at this age get the experience of their coaches. And a lot of times, they're actually not talking about strategies. They're talking about their body language,
Yes.
how they're reacting to their shots, ice conditions, checking ice paths. So they're giving them a lot of information that they can bring forward.
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative by Curling Canada to do this and to have them play in more arena settings, and even at the club. I think the coaches are out there, and just that they can see their players, and the coaches can hear, because I know we always wonder what our athletes are talking about out there. So this gives the coaches an opportunity to hear them.
So right now, Saskatchewan is going to try to play a hit. Ontario are sitting 2.
Yeah, hit and roll, and try to get over to hit the shot stone in the 4-foot. Try to get over to that one in the biting the 8. Try to group them and hope for a double chance in the next shot or two.
So Chantel is playing second for Saskatchewan. This looks like a great shot.
Yeah, nose hit. That's fine.
Okay, I'm going to do some updates here.
Okay.
So it's Nova Scotia and Quebec blank first end. And then on sheet B, we have Alberta 4 and the host is 0. Then on sheet D, it is 1-0 for Northern Ontario. Sorry, New Brunswick is 1 and Northern Ontario is 0. And Quebec and Northern Ontario. Northern Ontario got 1 in the first end.
Well, they're working this hard. Try to hit and stick for 2. Little inside, but it's going to, again, that good control weight. It's not going to roll out of the rings. It did get the 2 reds closer together. Maybe there is a chance for a double,
hair, yeah.
but the most important thing is to stay in the rings, and they accomplish that. Good sweeping.
So I think they'll probably try to throw a bit more weight at this to make the double.
This is the time when you can throw your normal. A little more up weight. But you got to be careful too on an out turn. If you're just that little touch wide or slide a little tight and set it out a bit, it's not going to come back. This is a good shot. I think
they have a biter.
I think Ontario has a biter. It was a good try at a double, and just needed to curl up a bit more, I think. Gives Ontario the chance to split the ring. So each team has had the opportunities with Hammer to split the rings, lie to.
I like that the teams make the decision. They know their game plan. They put the broom down, and they know that they're going to split the rings.
Yeah.
And some of these kids are fairly young, and to have this kind of strategy, it's great.
It is. It's really good to see. Really, their coaches are working with them, and they're doing a great job. Sweepers are working on this, but it might come up a touch light.
So this is where we talk about your shot tolerance.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the rings you really need to commit to, and sometimes we forget that we have the front and the back of the house, and you just need to be in the rings.
You just need to be, yeah, and that's a thing where the sweepers can communicate to the person throwing, saying, it's let's try for T-line, and if we're a bit light, we're in the rings, and if we're a bit heavy, we're in the rings.
I keep saying to my young junior teams, there's two 12-foots.
Yes,
So
yes,
you have the
yes.
front and the back
Yeah.
if you have an open draw.
Yeah. This one's curling. Oh, we got a bit of a miss there. That one really curled. I think from the inside out there wasn't as much curl, and I think they played this one the other way, and we're surprised a little bit by how much it curled by throwing hit weight. Huge opportunity now for Ontario. Got one in the rings. They've got a guard. I'm going to see what kind of a split time we get here.
So this is a great opportunity to set up for their deuce.
Yeah. Looks like the weight's pretty good. Sweepers were doing some heavy cleaning, but they backed off now. Want to make sure they get by the guard. Wow, this lace is pretty quick. What'd you get, Leslie?
I got a 15.
15. Well, that's pretty quick. But a lovely throw. It looks like it's completely buried.
So it just slid a little bit behind T-line, which gives Saskatchewan the opportunity to come down and draw to it.
Yeah, this is their one chance to limit the damage. They can freeze onto it and make it pretty tough. Force Ontario to 1. So, yeah, there's quite a few people here. Let's see, I'm watching this game. A lot of the parents, grandparents. It's great to see.
They travel. There's always sometimes both mom and dad go
Yeah.
from all teams. So sometimes you have 8 to 10 family members
Yeah.
here cheering on their families.
Awesome.
And as the parents meet during the week, I find then some of the parents will drop in and cheer for other teams.
Yes, yeah.
Becomes a big,
This
happy
is a
community.
great looking shot.
This is a fabulous shot by Saskatchewan.
That's a great shot by, I'm guessing, is that Madison Johnson?
That's Madison.
Yep. Yeah, what a really great touch. So, see if Ontario can corner freeze to that and get shot. There's still a chance.
Again, this may be a great force of 1.
Yeah. Sarah threw her first one.
And some of the more inexperienced teams may hit the back one in the back and just say, I'm going to give them my deuce.
Yeah.
Because you see a chance of maybe giving up 3. So I think this was a great call.
Yeah. Sarah Bailey throwing third stones. Just a little bit heavy on that. She threw her first one around the guard and just came behind T-line. And that one, maybe now we've had a couple rocks down that path, just a little bit quicker.
I'm not sure. Do you think that yellow is shot stone?
I believe so. It's hard to tell from we're off to the corner. We're not right behind the sheet, so it's really hard to tell. But I'm believing they are because it looks like Saskatchewan's guarding. See what their play is.
Yes, yellow is definitely shot rock.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So just one little slip behind the T-line, and that gave Saskatchewan the opportunity to.
And they took advantage of that opportunity and made a really good shot on top of it. Well, she's not throwing a guard. This is a little warm too. Oh, not sure she bumped her shot rock from being shot. Can you tell?
I Can't tell from here. We'll wait for the
We'll
overhead
wait
now.
for the overhead picture.
I think it's still yellow.
Okay.
So the other option there would have been to throw a guard.
Yeah. Yeah, if you were going to try and force one, you could guard that one, and
No, it's still yellow. Just
still yellow, so that's okay.
So she's still forcing her.
Yeah.
Now she may be trying to draw down to it, and if she just moves it a little, they may get the deuce.
Yeah, Ontario skips first rock, and so we'll see if she can get that right combination of speed and line. Okay.
Sweepers are really
So
working
they're
this.
working on this one. It's gotta work a little harder to get it in the rings. Just coming up a touch light. It's okay. Again, Ontario has done a very good job of keeping play to one side, allowing their skip the chance to have the button or full forefoot, depending on what Saskatchewan does here. So, like their goal was to score 2, but by keeping play to the sides, they still have the chance to have an easier shot for one, as opposed to a tough shot with the middle clogged up.
Yes. You really need to keep the middle open if you have hammer. A lot of teams get caught into not removing guards at the proper times, or so they don't have access.
No.
So she has an option now of guarding, or she can just come in and just tuck it around a little bit to take away the path.
Yeah, just put a little more pressure. Maybe make Madeline throw a different path for her last shot.
Go out a little bit wider.
Go out a little wider, sure. You know, even something, even if she doesn't get fully buried behind these the double corners, even if she's half open, it coming up a little. She's going to get into the rings, bite the top 12. So that takes that whole side away. But Madeline still has. They've done a good job of keeping play to the side, and now she has a draw to the forefoot to get her point.
She just needs to bite the forefoot, and she'll get her one.
Yeah. Now this is where you trust yourself for throwing it, and you trust your brushers to get it there. I was pretty fortunate to go and watch the Ontario Provincials, the U-18 Provincials, and it wasn't too far from my hometown of Niagara. It was in Hamilton, and so I got to see these young ladies play and the guys, and yeah, it was pretty impressive.
How many teams?
Both finals.
How many teams did they have?
Eight boys team and 8 women's teams. Yeah.
So in Ontario, were there regionals also? That
Yeah,
they had to play?
they had. I think there were 3 or 4 qualifiers.
Oh,
Yeah, regional qualifiers. So here we go. What do we got here, Leslie?
It is fast. I'm still getting 15.
15.
And this was
And can they drag it? They got to drag it to
6,
the bite.
yeah.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite.
So that's
Just going out that little further. Came up a little bit lighter.
It's a steal of 1 for Saskatchewan.
I believe so, yeah. That's what it looks like.
So located. Okay, there we go. We're back again, and I would say Saskatchewan are definitely going to draw top four. And I think Ontario are going to have to make the decision now either to hit or throw up a corner guard.
Yeah, we're in the third end, so depending on their game plan, whether they want to try for their two with hammer in an odd end, or whether they want to wait to do that in the even end.
This has gone through, so I would say they're definitely going to throw up their corner.
This would be a good opportunity.
And again, it's the third end. They may decide also to have a conversation and try to blank this in. It's only 2-0. There's loads of time left.
There is.
So some teams would throw a corner, and then others are going out to the wings and figuring
to see if the other team will hit. Yeah, how they're. It looks like they're asking for a guard, or is she asking it in? It's hard to say with the sometimes with the broom placement. Looks like they're sweeping it in, Lesanne.
So I think they're gonna try to either blank the third and get a couple in four, which it's not a bad game plan.
It's not, if that's their game plan. Yeah. And that's what we talked about a lot, is sticking to the game plan, unless something comes up that drastically changes it, but to stick with your game plan.
And Saskatchewan are going to be quite happy to.
They're going to be very happy.
Hit.
Yeah.
What do you think the ages are of the kids through this event? I know I think there's a little girl from New Brunswick. Host is 11 and she'll be 12 soon.
Oh, is that right?
Amazing experience.
Yeah. Being U-18, it can be any age under 18. But yeah, a lot of them are in their early teens and mid-teens.
And then we have some teams like from Northern Ontario that have some experience in that this is going to be their last U-18, which is an amazing experience for them.
Yeah, so there is quite an age group, but you see them together. You see the different teams from the same province supporting each other, but you see the interaction between kids from different provinces.
I've been in the Players Lounge, and it's so nice to see the older kids interact with the younger kids. So they're all there talking to each other, and I think as the weeks get on and they get more familiar with each other, they have an amazing setup there. They have a games room, a movie room,
and
the Players Lounge for all the players to go and relax.
Yeah, it's a nice big lounge, and they have a bunch of board games. They can play board games, and you do go in there once in a while just to see how things are going, and that's what they're doing. And they're from all different provinces, and they're playing different games, and they have a Wii room with I think it's called a Wii game, a Wii setup, and they're having a great time in the evening when the competition's over. Again, this setup, this developmental thing, and the curlers are interacting so much.
So we're still now, Ontario's going to keep this clean, and we're going to have a hit.
Not a lot of action here. We're into seconds rocks.
Also great that a lot of years ago these juniors went to under 21s, and that was their first national experience.
Well, that's it.
And some of them were young, and it was very overwhelming for them. So this is a great stepping stone.
Yeah, with having like the different age group here, it's not as drastic as having, say, a 15 or 16-year-old go to a U-21 or junior with 21-year-olds and 20-year-olds. So no, this is good. Curling Canada is doing a lot of stuff, trying to initiate different age groups and keeping the age groups in sort of 3 years, and so that they're playing with their people of their own age and interacting with people of their own age.
They're doing a lot with the long-term athlete development, so they're really targeting the kids that are your 11 and 12-year-olds and getting them into the clubs, making them comfortable, getting them to play the game for the fun of the sport.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I think we train our athletes a little bit too young.
Yeah.
So this way, I think Curl Canada are trying to get the athletes or the kids in younger and actually just for the love of the game, which I'm really liking.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. They have new ways to play, to interact with the kids, to try to think different things, think outside of the box and play instead of just traditional fours, and instead of mixed doubles, it can be doubles. you know, they're doing a lot of stuff for the development. We have our elite athletes, but we really need to continue working with the grassroots and get people in and bring your friend and take classes down, rocks and rings, introducing the game in schools. Lots of great initiatives by Curling Canada.
I'm a firm believer that we really need to support our elite athletes, but our club curlers, our grassroots, our board members, are our volunteers.
Yes.
So we have to make sure that they're there and involved and stay involved. So Saskatchewan here is going to try to hit and stick, so we're going to...
Yeah, it looks like it's just a little bit of a rollout. Yeah, into Vice's rocks. Young Sarah Bailey throwing. I guess her uncle is Scott Bailey, who curled, I think, won a couple Briars, couple of Worlds with Wayne Madaw. So there's some curling blood there. The sweepers are backed off, but we'll see. It's out into the wing, so it might just slow down and stay in.
Yep,
it stayed in, so that's great. Makes Saskatchewan make a play on it.
So I think the Saskatchewan team are actually from the same club that Marie Wright is from, and she's the wheelchair curler that won the bronze at the Wheelchair Olympics.
Okay.
So these...
That's a great story.
Yeah, so these players, and I think the skip is related to Marie.
Oh.
I think they're cousins. They're an amazing team. Marie's an amazing lady. We just came back from nationals, from wheelchair nationals. I coached the team there, and we played Saskatchewan in the semifinals, and then they went on to win the gold medal.
Yeah, that was in Leduc.
Yes.
We had the four different championships going on. I was there in the university side, the U Sports side. Our Brock men and women teams were there, and you were there for the wheelchair. And there was also college nationals and mixed doubles.
Shout out to Curl Canada. That was an amazing event.
It was an amazing event, and it was just an amazing venue. That Leduc Community Center was just tremendous.
Ontario just, there they go.
Yeah, they're doing what they have to do. They're hitting and sticking, and even though it's a little biter, it's important that the Saskatchewan has to make a play on it. I don't think we can stress that enough. And that's what's impressive about these young people.
She's taking time to reset.
Yeah. No, I love looking at the pre-shot routines, and how some of them will spin the rock and go through different things, but they do it the same every time.
And that's why we said earlier it's so important to write it down, because I've had my athletes do that, and it's amazing how many times they miss 2 or 3 steps, and when you write it down, they're going, "Oh, I didn't realize that was in my pre-shot routine."
Good shot. Nice weight. I think they let it curl a little bit, and looks like it rolled out. I think there's some late curl there from the outside in, and maybe just not quite on top of that yet, but they will. They're pretty quick at picking up paths.
And that's where I think the front end is starting to get more and more involved, so that they need to be watching the path. So sometimes the skip has a lot of things to remember, and it's nice to go to your skipper every now and then and say, I think that's curl there, Troy, so let's take a look at this next time. We may need more ice or a little bit more weight.
Yes, I totally agree. Yeah, we talk about that a lot as coaches, and more front ends, or have somebody has the duty to watch the opposing rock while the other gets the path clear, or one person might time the path from hog to hog or hog to stop, however they decide.
Gone are the days where the leads and they threw and swept.
Yeah, yeah. No, everybody has a role now. You might have one person, maybe the second on your team, that kind of always looks. Every once in a while, will look at the time and how you're doing on time. You don't want everybody looking at it, but you might have one person on the team looking at time and how their clock is going. And yeah, everybody has roles, and that's great because we're a team sport, and everybody should have jobs to do,
And I think the younger teams need to start to understand the front end strategy more. Years ago, typically the front end really didn't get involved in the strategy, but I think the more you know and understand the game, then the more you have input. So I think everybody should be on the same page, and everybody needs to understand the strategy. So a few years ago, they didn't involve, sometimes even as coaches, we used to sit down and talk to the back end about strategy
right,
and exclude the front end. And I think
right.
the more everybody knows, the
Yeah.
more successful teams will be.
Yeah, totally agree. I think years ago it was more of a dictatorship with the skip, and but now it's a total team effort. Everybody is just as important as the other person on the team.
And the skip is still in charge of the strategy and how the game is played
Yeah,
and the tactics of the game. But I
yeah,
think for the input, as far as ice conditions, weight
yeah.
conditions, how your other opposition throws,
Yes, yeah.
as simple as saying, I think she's been inside on her
Exactly.
in turns or out
Yeah.
turns, and that's kind of information that can help during the game.
No, totally agree. Lots of information can be gathered if everybody has a little role to do. So no, again, not much action in this end. We've been talking through it. They've been making the hits and sticks, and so
It's going to be a peel, and they're going to try to blank
going to
this
try to
end.
blank this end. Okay. Yep. A little more weight on this one, like you said, probably normal or even doesn't look like peel, but pretty close. Just trying to hit and roll out. Unfortunately,
She hits and sticks, so they're going
hits
to
and sticks.
take their one.
Yeah, take one. But 2-1 game. I think we'll see what they do in the fourth end. But I'm kind of thinking like you that maybe the fourth end, first half, I don't know if they'll throw up a guard. I don't know if they'll take that chance yet. It may be in the second half of the game.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. We're going to start, and
They are going to go on offense.
Terrier threw up the guard. So as opposed to the game we did the other day, the boys, one of the guys' teams actually went out to the wings. Saskatchewan are going to come in around and take the play to the center of the house.
They are. They're going to use that guard put up by Ontario and see if they can't set up for their two that way. Try to get in there before Ontario does.
And that's not a game. That's not a bad plan.
No, no.
So again, the best place is just try to make sure that you're not behind T line.
Yeah, that's right. Keep it above T. Top four. Had to sweep a little bit to get it by, but this looks pretty good.
This is a great shot.
Just a rock heavy. Just probably the sweeping to get it by the rock. Weight was probably very good. Maybe need a touch more ice, but it does give Ontario those two main things. It gives them a guard and a rock behind the T line. Very important when you're trying to score. Use the rocks that that are helping you.
And you can hear from here, you can hear the teams and the skip's calling out and asking where it is. So the communication is really good. And it's important because sometimes you need a plan B. So the skip gets a second option if she knows exactly where the weight is.
This looks like a really good shot from
that's a great shot
Shannon.
from Ontario.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
they are.
Do you think they'll try to tap this one back a little tiny bit?
I think so, because I think it just, instead of freezing right on top, it's just a corner throw. So if they throw something in the back ring area, back ring weight, they can tap this Ontario stone
and sometimes
into the back.
Yeah, sometimes the teams, they try to freeze, not understanding that if they don't tap and make some separation, it's really hard to move some rocks.
Right.
So I think we always get into where we just want to freeze, but if you have hammer, it's a really good plan to actually have a little tap and separate.
Yeah, because sometimes the rock that hurts you the most is your own in the back. Yeah.
So that was a good, nice move. They moved around a few rocks. Oh, I would think Ontario now are going to try to come down on top of that.
Yeah, yeah, they have a chance to get into the inside of that yellow. And again, it's not they're not trying to just, looks like a little more weight, but they don't have to completely remove the opposition stone. Getting inside is probably more important than removing it.
I think they're indicating that the weight's up on this one a little.
It looks it. Okay, no, that's good.
That's a great shot.
They're sitting two, and Saskatchewan rocks are in the back 8, so no, that's a good shot by Ontario.
So a couple of options here would be either to freeze or to play a little hit and roll.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan are taking the option, they're going to draw down to the one in the red in the back of the 4, just biting.
Yep. Oh, timeout.
Timeout.
Well, there you go. That's a timeout. The coach maybe saw something that maybe they want to discuss, or maybe all 4 players weren't on the same page, but they're going to call a timeout. So we're just going to take a short break while they do their timeout. Okay, so the coaches have had their say. Looks like Coach Patrick Ackerman is getting a little bit more on the defensive side and saying, let's remove those Ontario, or remove at least one of the Ontario stones.
I like this call. This is a great call because now she has the option to hit and roll a little tiny bit. And if they chose to draw and were either a little bit light, then you would not have access. And again, we talked about leaving the front open. So
right. Yeah, leave that front open, or at least one side of it to make sure you get your one. So this is a good call, good timeout by the coach, and let's see if we can execute. Okay, we got a little jam at the back.
But yellow is in the control zone of the house.
Exactly. Yellow's in a good position. See if we can get Ontario's looking for a hit and roll here.
Some other teams may have peeled that red a few rocks earlier. That's another one. That's the trouble rock sometimes, leaving your guard up when you have hammer.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if it. Okay. Yep. Oh, They're calling for sweeping here. Could be a good shot. Oh, yeah. A little rolled over to the other side of the 4-foot. It's still a good shot.
So now she has the option to hit and roll, or she
Yeah.
can, yeah, she's going to take the hit and roll option.
Hit and roll.
Which is, I like this.
Yep. If they make the good hit and roll and sit on top of the Ontario stone, it'll be hard to remove. And you need to hit the inside of that red stone to get it out of the rings without jamming. So we're coming from intern.
You want to make sure you get on the inside of this a little bit. You don't want. You want to make sure and look for the jam possibility.
That's correct. Brushers haven't touched it. Just got a little bit outside. It ran straight on her and had the jam. That's unfortunate. The 2 takeouts that Saskatchewan has played, they've just been on the wrong side of the rock and had a couple of jams. Maybe the ice is a little straighter there, or maybe a little more weight.
If Ontario hits and sticks on this one, though, they still have access to the button, so she will still have a shot for her last rock.
And that's right, and that's what they have to look at. And Saskatchewan, you know, you don't have to panic because there's a few of the opposition stones. Most of them are behind the tee line, so you have chances, you have opportunities to get your points. Okay, well, Ontario rolled a little bit too far. Still line 3, though. It's still putting pressure on Saskatchewan.
So this is where you have the opportunity to switch gears. So now they hit, which was a great game plan, but now they have access to the button, so she'll come down and draw on top of the red stone right now.
Or like you said earlier, this could be one of those chances, those times, and it depends on their philosophy, that they could rip the center off.
Yes.
And leave everything open and force Ontario to put a good center back on. Otherwise, everything's behind the tee line. All the red is behind the tee line. They have to look at that and say, okay, we can use those. Yeah, it's coming down. It's just staying out there. It didn't curl. I don't think it curled as much, so it didn't take the weight off. But sitting second shot.
So Ontario are going to go top 4 on this one now, and it's put a lot of pressure on Saskatchewan. There's some great actions going on across the sheets of ice here.
Yeah, that sheet A game, they're moving along pretty quickly. A 1-1 game, and they're already into their 4th end break.
And Alberta's 5 playing the host team, and the host team is 2, so it's 5-2 for Alberta. Then on sheet D we have
Brunswick, Northwest Territories.
Yeah, and there it's 7-0. And Northern Ontario and Quebec, it's 5-0 for Oregon for Northern Ontario.
Okay, good guard by the Ontario third. Now Saskatchewan is pretty much into it now. It's a little bit too late to try and clear off the center, so now it's make a nice freeze here. But Ontario is controlling the front now.
But with the yellow second shot at least.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
They'll, if they can't make their last shot, they'll only give up
They'll only give up 1.
This may be a little light. No?
Maybe a touch overswept.
Overswept.
We'll see. It's got to curl a bit up. It's a nice looking shot.
It's shot rock.
I think just maybe a touch overswept. It just didn't quite curl as much as they were hoping. They pretty much had to get to nose.
This was a new path for them. So they
Yeah,
probably
for sure.
thought they may have needed a little tiny bit more sweeping.
Yeah. No, they're by no means, we're not critical at all. We're just pointing out, boy, these young people are good. So Ontario,
Just going to draw down and draw in the pocket.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay. We got both sweepers down. So let's think it. Got to get by the guard. They are by the guard. Yeah. Coming into the button area. Good shot.
Great shot.
Great shot. Very good.
So Saskatchewan are going to try to draw down on top of that.
Yeah, it's just that little bit heavy, and it still is. It got behind the tee line, so Saskatchewan has a chance. Skipper's first one. Put one right on the lid and be very hard to get out.
So are the skip and the second or the lead sisters from Ontario?
Yes. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I talked to both teams before the game, so we have a few little fun facts to talk about in the second half. We're down to last couple rocks in this fourth end.
And a lot of times when siblings are close in age and they start curling, it's nice, and they get to curl together because you're looking for a team. So they play together in different things.
Yeah. Okay, a little bit. We're just getting a little bit. That path must be faster than they're anticipating, or it's not curling as much as they're anticipating. They're maybe throwing the right weight, and if it curled another foot or two, it would take some of the speed off it. So it's just that right combination of line and the amount of curl and the weight needed. But still a good shot.
Ontario's still sitting shot stone.
Yeah.
So they're going to try to come in and go right on top of that and cut that path down.
Yeah. Yeah. To try to get to the inside of that yellow. Yes. Create a.
And again, you're right. I think if they throw that little tiny bit more weight, it stays a little straighter
Stays a little straighter and doesn't take the curl, which will take some of the weight off. Yep. Brushers are working on it.
And short is the better miss this way.
That's right.
Mr. Pro miss, it's better to be a little short.
It's better to be a little bit light. I agree. But this is coming right in. Is she going to get the inside?
Great
nice
shot. Oh, just rolled a little
just
too far.
Rolled a touch too far. So the button is still open for Saskatchewan, but a lot of pressure with Ontario sitting three.
But she just threw this down this path, so she's familiar with the weight and the path.
Yeah. Well, they threw up a center guard, and we've had a lot more exciting shots in this end. I know as a coach, you'd like to see more of those rocks above the tee line, but
if she makes this, it's a great force of one.
Yeah.
Ontario's done their job in their end.
Exactly. Okay, here we go. You know, and as a brusher too, there's a little bit of anticipation because you don't want to oversweep or undersweep. Everybody is invested in this shot. This is a total
Team
team
shot.
shot.
Yes.
Everybody's invested in this shot. Gotta slow down. Slow down. Oh, just a little bit warm.
A little bit warm.
And I'm guessing
two,
two for sure.
Maybe three. I think maybe three.
Yeah. Oh, that was a tough one. That was a tough one. Okay, they're going to go in their fourth end break. We're going to have a little break too and come back for the second half of this game.
Okay, we're back here now. Ontario stole 3 in the fourth end, so it's 4-2. But again, that's only a deuce.
Yeah, they're only, they have hammer. Saskatchewan has hammer. Get your 2 here.
And I would suggest that's what the coach talked to them about fourth end break.
Yeah.
It's, you know what, you gave up a deuce, but you're only down by 2. So if you score and score a deuce here, it's tied up.
Yeah, no need to panic. No need to say, oh, well, we just gave up 3. We have to get it back. Just get your 2 back.
And again, they may make the option of making 5 and trying to score your deuce in 6.
They could. And it looks like it because Ontario did the right thing by coming in the top 12 to see, and Saskatchewan is playing a hit. So they're going to play the scoreboard. Try to manage hammer in 6 and 8, looks like.
And scoreboard management is a huge thing. It's figuring out how to...
Yeah. Go with your team DNA and figure out how you want to manage the each end and manage the scoreboard when you're down or when you're up, what your goals are for the end. Yeah, these teams are really well coached. You can see that across the board. It's kind of easy for us as coaches to see what their end plan is by their first couple of shots.
And shout out to all the coaches out there that take the time.
Yeah, for sure.
There are a lot of, and it's a lot of commitment and a lot of dedication. It's years ago you'd meet with them once a week, and now it's off ice. They do stuff through the summer, and the coaches are with them 2 and 3 days a week.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, they're working on their developing their skills, but they're also working on their team dynamics and what each person likes to say or likes to hear from their teammates. So yeah, there's a lot of great stuff in the team dynamic end of it.
But you can tell by looking at the kids have a really good relationship with the coaches, and they really appreciate the time that the coaches spend with them. So the kids, I find that the curling athletes are very appreciative.
Oh, yes.
And very good to work with.
Yeah.
And actually the staff at the hotel that we're staying at, the St. Andrews, always comment on how polite the kids are. They clean up after themselves. The room is very, like, their room, they treat it with a lot of respect. So.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons for that, and one of them could be that in their home clubs, not too many sports in your that you have these young people are playing in adult leagues, and they get to interact with the adults, and they have the good manners and things like that. They develop those early. The social skills are developed early.
Because a lot of these teams at this young age are now playing in their super leagues, so they're playing against teams that have been to Briars, that have been to Scotties.
Yeah.
So they get to play against these teams, which is an amazing opportunity.
It really is.
And a lot of other sports don't get that opportunity.
Right.
And sometimes they actually get to spare in the league, so some of the elite curlers will let these teams spare with them.
Yeah.
And that's a great learning opportunity.
It is. And so shout out to all those clubs that really inspire the youth curling. There are always going to be 1 or 2 clubs that are not so receptive to the young people, but for the most part, curling clubs all across Canada are receptive to these young people and get them into their leagues and give them guidance. Yeah, and you can see it.
Yes, and in our club, what we do, our rule is if you want to play in a ladies or men's league, you have to be 16 years old. But if you want to play in a cash league, which is our Major League Super League, there is no age limit.
Right.
So that allows the more competitive teams, because you also have to be mindful that some of the adults don't want to have younger kids in their adult league. So we've limited it with 16. So our compromise was that they could play in our Super League, Major League.
Yeah, good. And we've had a lot of good teams come from the Newfoundland, you know, in U Sport and in college and other things. Juniors.
Yes, we have a man named Brad Gujou.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've heard of that guy.
And they actually help out in our league. So if they're in town, if the Team Gujou's in town, they will always come out to any junior clinic. Anything we ask of them, if they're available, they're willing to help. So they curl out of the Remax Center, out of our club, so they're always around practicing, and the kids are there in the after-school program most times, and they'll stop and take the time to talk to them,
That's
or if I run a clinic, they will come up and they will help out. So
that's awesome. That is really good. And you were talking earlier, I think the other day, about getting say the U21s helping out with, or even this U-18 group helping out with the younger, the U12s, the Little Rockers. It's just giving back, and if they get used to giving back when they're teenagers, then when they get to be the group, the Gushues and the Jennifer Jones of the world, that they're used to giving back and they're used to helping younger people. So that's great. Like, really, our sport is pretty amazing for that.
So this is going to be a fairly clean end. We just had a hit and roll out, so Saskatchewan is going to put another one in the house. And this is where you're hoping for a blank, but if there is an opportunity, if someone misses a hit, then you can try to get your deuce.
Yes. Yep. You're playing for a blank, but if you get that opportunity and get a miss, then you can switch gears and get your deuce and tie the game up.
Nova Scotia and Quebec are still having a really close game on sheet A. It's still tied at 1 after 5. And we have the host tied up. Oh, it's 5-4 for Alberta against the host team. So the host
team's
2.
come back, yeah.
So they had the opportunity. They lost the finals to the New Brunswick team to go to the U-18, and then we had a spot open, and they were invited to go and play as the host team for New Brunswick because the event is in New Brunswick. It's a great experience for them. They're a fairly young team. I think the oldest maybe 15 or 16. So
awesome.
This is a great learning experience for
really
the next
is.
generation.
Yep.
And I think, as I said yesterday, the New Brunswick girls are the Canada Games representative for New Brunswick.
Right.
We will try to find some facts and see how many teams are actually here that will be representing the provinces at the Canada Games.
Yeah, that's a good little job for us to do between games. Okay, pretty much just a draw in or a hit and roll or a hit and stick. Not much action going on here in end number 5. Now we got a little hit and roll now, and there could be a bit of a jam, so yellow could be sitting 1. Saskatchewan might be fighting. Would be a tricky shot for Ontario.
Yellow are definitely sitting the biter down there.
Yeah, with a little bit of a backing, so it's going to be a tricky shot, but I'm pretty sure Madeline's confident. Okay, so this one she's going to have to throw some good weight at it. This isn't the time to be fancy. This is the time to make sure we hit, and she could get rid of everything.
And that's what she would want.
And so that's fine. But unfortunately, how did that turn out? It looks like that their own red rock that was behind and out of the rings ended up hurting them a bit. And
so this is where your plan goes, where you're now going to go, instead of getting a blank, you're going to try to get your deuce.
That's it. So as coaches talk about look at opportunities, this is the opportunity now. Split the rings. Sit 2. It's amazing how one shot, and it was just it was a nice hit and roll by Saskatchewan to go over onto the red. That wasn't even in the rings, but they were aware enough to use that rock to their advantage. Now it's all about the path. They've thrown this path a few times.
So it's better again to have this tee line, and it's even better a little bit deeper because I don't think Ontario would take the chance of freezing on this. So
right. So this is one of those times where it's okay to be behind the tee line. I totally agree with you.
This may be a little heavy though. Nope.
They're raising their brooms. I think it'll stick. Yep.
Great shot.
Well judged by the sweepers. They did not hammer that right away. They didn't really work on it hard. They judged the weight. They talked among themselves, and yeah, good job by the brushers for recognizing. Often we give them credit for when they sweep hard, but they recognized the speed of that rock and they communicated. So, job well done.
So Ontario are going to go inside out on this shot. Sometimes a lot of the players will tend to go outside in on the strider hit.
Yeah.
Try to stride a path.
But I'm wondering, like sometimes, I'm wondering if this isn't a bit of the straighter path, or if she's trying to get that, hit it in such a way to roll over. But again, like we said, make sure we make the hit first. Nice weight, nice control weight, not overthrown. Just hope we got the right path. Excellent shot. She did what she had to do. She makes Saskatchewan have to make a play on that rock.
So now Saskatchewan has a nose hit for a deuce.
Yep.
And again, as the end started out, their whole game plan was to blanket, and now the opportunity arises, and they're going to hopefully get their deuce, and they'll be tied up.
Yep. Lots of positives for both teams here, even though we had that one jam. Both teams played this end really well. Shot's on its way. Let's see what happens here. We have one person down, cleaning. Looks like a pretty good weight.
It's a great shot.
Great shot. Saskatchewan hits and sticks for 2, and we're all tied up. That was a pretty good end.
And good for them for having the patience that even though they gave up a 3, that they just stayed calm. And
I totally agree. That word you just used, patience. They had the patience to wait, and but boy, this is a good game. Good, well played by both. We're going to take just a quick break, and we'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay, we're back here and playing the sixth end, and Saskatchewan put the first one in the house, and Ontario now is going to try to hit and stick here.
So this is one of those situations where, you know, you can talk strategy, and every team's going to have a little different thought. Tie game in the sixth end of an 8-end game. You wondered if Ontario would have put a corner guard up. Maybe they felt that the Saskatchewan rock was in the top of the house, and they wanted to remove it and roll to the wings. And maybe if it would have slid deep, they would have put the corner up. It's all what they've talked about with their coach and how they want to approach it.
I like the corner guard. I like the idea of scoring in 6.
Yeah, I do too. In an 8-end game, I think that we may have the stats prove us, but I think all the games that we've coached and watched, I like the idea of scoring in 6 if I have hammer.
I think there's a fair high percentage on it that if you score in 6, you win a lot of games.
Yeah.
I think it's over 80%.
Is it? Yeah,
I think so.
We'd have to get hold of Jerry Gertz.
Yeah. Get your shout out to Jerry to send us some stats.
Send us some stats on that.
And a lot of teams will play their game based on scoring in 6 ends. I think some of the teams.
Yep.
Because if we blank this end, then if their option would be then I guess they're trying to blank on 7 and have hammer coming home in 8. So on sheet A, Quebec and Nova Scotia are still a nail biter. They're still tied at 1. And on sheet B, the host has scored 2, so it's 5-4 for Alberta. And New Brunswick are 10 up to Northwest Territories. And I'm trying to see at the end, and I think it's 6-1 for Northern Ontario over Quebec.
Yeah, it's hard to see. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Northern Ontario were the boys' winners from last year, I
They
believe.
were, yeah.
And I think the Northern Ontario girls won last year, and they lost
correct.
to the New Brunswick team, Justine Cole's team.
The Northern Ontario's, yeah.
Girls, yeah.
Yeah, they beat Justine in the final. Justine in the final, yeah. It's a good game.
And I believe Justine has been to Canada Games and a few U-21 nationals, and she's propped. Their team, I would think, may have aged out.
Yeah, and I think they were at the U21s this year.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they represented.
They're a very hard-working team. I've met them at some events and some spiels, and
yeah,
they're a great little team and very hard-working. They put a lot of time into the game.
Good. Okay, now we got. This is going to be a little bit wide. Saskatchewan trying to remove the Ontario stone. Got a piece of it. Did they get enough?
They did.
They did.
Good sweeping, skipper.
Yeah, the skipper really got that rock out of the rings.
So I like that the Ontario skip is going to put a rock in, noticing that there's another rock in play. Well, it may not be enough to jam it, but they want to try to create a possibility.
Yeah, it's definitely there because we just saw it in the last end.
Yeah, maybe
where that rock out of the rings wasn't even in the rings, and it proved to be a very important stone for Saskatchewan. So
it's maybe a little too far, but at least they're thinking through the process that this could be a possibility.
Yep.
But again, the Saskatchewan skip is going to try to hit it on the outside, so if they hit and roll away.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't want to hit the inside and bring that other rock into play.
Good for them for thinking through that process.
Yeah. Very nice shot. Very nice. Well done. Well, I talked to the teams before the game, and we have some fun facts, but I think we'll work on that. We'll go through that list at the very beginning of the next end, and because we don't want to miss anybody, and we're into seconds rocks here. Or actually, we're into Vice's rocks, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of the parents from Saskatchewan have their Rough Riders jerseys on.
Yeah, yeah.
They're big football fans out there.
Yeah. Well, something must have happened for Northern Ontario because you can hear the moose calls.
The moose calls. They're sitting 3 right now. I think he just made a really nice double.
Yeah. And on our sheet.
Nice shot by Saskatchewan. They just rolled a little bit.
Yep.
So
yeah, rolled over towards that. Maybe rolled the wrong way or a way that they weren't really planning on, but we'll see what happens.
I'm watching the time, and the time management from these teams is also really good on the clocks. They have lots of time left, so they're not going to be rushed. A lot of the teams tend to take too much time in the beginning of the game, and by the time they have the last couple of ends, they're a little bit rushed, and they don't have time to think through.
Yeah, they have, what, approximately 3.5 minutes per end? I think it's...
yeah.
So, yeah, both teams have lots of time left in the 6th. And that's another sort of distraction, if you will, that teams coming here maybe haven't worked or played with a time clock, so that's another little...
Great introduction to them?
Yeah, yeah.
I think the pin trading is really big here too. It's,
yeah.
We haven't talked about that yet. A lot of the teams trade pins and pins from all over the. It's a big curling tradition.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I have a few requests for pins, so I'm going to have to go pin hunting when I have a break here. A couple people back home in Ontario have asked me to gather up some pins, so. Again, a pretty basic end. Not a lot of action, no guards.
So Ontario are taking the chance that they're going to blank 6, and I would assume from that they want to.
Yeah, you know
blank 7.
Do you want? Yeah, if you blank 6, you might as well blank 7 and keep hammer for the last end and keep things open. That's their game plan.
And I would suggest that Saskatchewan are going to try their best to force 1 for 7.
To force in 7.
And then you get hammer coming home.
Yeah. Totally agree with that. That doesn't mean every team works that way either. That's just our philosophies. But other teams might just say it doesn't matter what end. If we have hammer, we're going to try and score 2. Some teams are on the more offensive side of balanced, or are totally offensive, and if the totally offensive teams, they don't mind what end it is. They just say if we've got hammer, we're going to get our dues.
And some teams really like to steal.
And some teams,
they really feel that they're better at stealing than they are.
Exactly. When we have those preseason meetings, those are the big questions, aren't they? We ask our teams, do you like to be one up without, or you like to be one down with? And you'd be surprised at how many times they'll say they like to be one up without because they get to throw the first rock. So it's a matter of comfort and team DNA and all of those things. So there's never a right way for everyone. It's what works best for you. think one of the old sayings that we've heard a few times is call the shot you think you can make. So play the end the way you think is best for you.
And keep it simple.
Yeah, yeah, that's another good strategy.
We sometimes get way too complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, we see the top people on TV and how they can do things, but we're not quite at that tolerance level yet. So keep things a little more simple.
I don't think the yellow is in, so taking a look.
No.
And sometimes the teams will take a look and the rings are off a little tiny
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's not a bad idea to put a stick on if you're not sure. Put the biter on and just make sure.
I always say to the teams, if you have to look more than twice, measure.
Yep, measure.
So is there a mandatory amount of ends that people have to play here?
In this format, they have to play 6 ends.
Yeah.
After 6, you can concede.
Which is great because some of the teams that are traveling don't get the opportunity to play on this kind of ice, so it gives them the opportunity to.
Yeah. Well, I think Saskatchewan is doing exactly what you said. They've called for a measure to see. Ontario thinks it's out, so they threw their last rock through to blank the end. They felt pretty confident that it's out of the rings, but Saskatchewan is saying, well, let's just make sure. Yeah.
And I think at the beginning of the meeting, with the skips meeting, I think they said some of the rings may be off a little. So
maybe off a touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It never hurts.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It only takes a second. The officials come out and do it. And
so is there a different measuring stick for the biter measure and?
Yeah, a biter measure is just that one length, as opposed to the other measuring devices we use to see who's closer to the button. So it's determined that it's out. Blank end for Ontario.
Okay, so we'll take another little break.
Yeah, we'll take a short break and then we'll come back in the 7th and we'll start doing some fun facts. Okay, so we're starting the 7th end, tie game, 4-4. Ontario has last rock advantage. So lead for Saskatchewan, Samantha McLaren. We asked a few questions, and we found out that her favorite dish, her favorite food to eat is chicken Alfredo.
Ooh.
And that she has 2 favorite players, Rachel Holman and Brad Jacobs. Her education, she's looking to maybe go into the medical field. And she also swims competitively and coaches competitively swimmers. So that's a really well-rounded young lady. She doesn't just curl, she has other sports, and she's a coach in swimming, so she's giving back.
And a lot of these athletes have other things, and that's why they're so well-rounded, that they can manage their school and their sport.
Yep. Yeah.
So you will see a lot of these players will have a second sport, which is always good, as opposed to just having the one sport. And a lot of them are very good in school because they have to learn how to manage their time. They're gone most weekends traveling.
They do. Yep, they do.
Practicing, so they really need to learn how to manage time as an athlete.
Okay, next up we're going to have a little word about Shannon Horner, lead for Ontario. She's about to throw a hit, and her favorite food is pasta, and her favorite curler is Mr. Gushu. She also plays soccer and plays the clarinet and the oboe. So, wow. Kudos to her for being well-rounded, doing a lot of different things.
Okay, it looks like that their game plan now is Saskatchewan is gonna keep hitting, and they're gonna.
Yeah, this looks like we're going to come down to last rocks. They're going to play this out and come down to last rocks in the 8th end. And our second, Chantal Hogue. Okay, now her favorite dish is leafsy. I haven't had a chance to look that up. I'm sorry, I haven't had a chance to look that up. Her favorite curler is Joanne Courtney. She's going to go into medicine, maybe even to look to be a doctor, but something in the medical field. And she's a brown belt in karate and plays piano and curls.
Wow.
Wow.
It amazes me how much talent these young people have.
I know. So we have that wide open game again hit, and Brianna Dunnigan, she's the second for Ontario. Favorite dish is also pasta. So they ate a lot of pasta on Team Ontario, I guess. Her favorite curler is Adam Casey. She wants to get into massage therapy, something in the therapy group, and she is going to, she's planning to attend Fanshawe College in Ontario, in London, Ontario, this fall. And she plays violin and flute. So maybe they could get together and have a little, well, we have another person playing instruments. We could have a little trio here.
We may have to go down to the room and see if we can get some instruments going and some music.
For
Seems
sure.
like we have a lot of musical talent here.
Yeah.
So the New Brunswick Northwest Territories game is over. It was 10-1 for New Brunswick. They conceded after 7. So that's a game that's over on sheet D. And I think Nova Scotia now is up 2-1 after 6, and they're playing 7. No, they're just starting the 8th.
One of the hardest things to do is to throw a hit and then a draw, because you've come firing out of the hack, throw that hit, and then it's hard to come back. So it just was a little bit heavy on that draw. Rings are open, but I don't expect anything out of the ordinary to come up. We'll just Saskatchewan just put in the rings. We're into
third stones.
We're into the third stones, and the Saskatchewan third, Madison Johnson. Well, she likes pasta too, steak, but I think her go-to is smoked salmon. Yeah, she loves smoked salmon. Her favorite player is Joanne Courtney. She also wants to get into the medical field. She's a competitive rower, so rowing and brushing, she's probably a pretty strong young lady. And then, oh yeah, she rows in doubles and quads, and may do singles this year.
I like that a lot of the players, their hero is Courtney.
Yeah, yeah.
That means that they're really interested in how she sweeps, and because she's probably one of the best sweepers in Canada.
She
Joanne
is.
Courtney is.
Yeah.
And she's a great team player.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that the girls are wanting to be
looking
great
at the
sweepers and looking at the sweeping ability of the players.
And the fitness. Yeah, for sure.
And again, that goes to show about everybody being more involved. years ago, everybody's favorite player was always a skip. It's
Yes.
always who they wanted to
Yeah.
be or mimic, and now that they're
Yeah.
players, they're looking at front end players
Yeah.
in different positions.
Yeah. That's excellent. Yep. Hit and stick. No, hit and roll out. A little bit on the outside, so it's roll out. So Ontario and their third thrower, Sarah Bailey. She's gonna just try to put one over in the wings. And Sarah, she likes peanut butter and apples. And two of her favorites are Jennifer Jones and her Uncle Scott. So that's pretty good that she listed Uncle Scott as one of her favorite curlers. She's going to go into accounting, or that's her plan, and she plays a baritone sax. She also plays rugby and basketball. So talk about time management and being well-rounded. Boy, Sarah's got a lot of bases covered.
We definitely need to have a concert down in the
We do.
Players' Lounge.
We've got clarinet and flute and sax. My favorite. I love sax.
Okay, it's looking that the 8th end, we're going to be putting up a bunch
Yep.
of guards. Going to
Yeah.
come down to last stone. It's going to be an
gonna-
exciting end.
You know, they're both 2-0, and it's going to come down to last rock.
So it looks like Quebec got a deuce in 7, so they're 3-2 playing in the 8th end against Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Here's some-
Alberta's 7-4, and they are now still playing the 7th end. And it's still 6-1 for Northern Ontario over Quebec playing 7. So it looks like the Nova Scotia game, they're a little bit faster over on sheet A.
Yeah.
They're playing the 8th, and the other teams are playing in the 7th end.
Okay, so the Saskatchewan skip, Skylar Ackerman, she's going to try to draw down and make it a little bit harder for Ontario to blank. There is a red rock out of the rings at the back, 12. So Skylar's going to try to draw down to that and see if they can't get a jam out of this. Her favorite is stir fry. She likes stir fries, and her favorite player is Emma Miskew. And she's also looking at medical. So that whole team could all go into the medical field. They could all go to the same university, let's say, and boy. So we'll have a lot of doctors and medical people out there. She's also a golfer, loves to golf. And cross-country running, but her favorite passion is she loves to cook. So maybe we'll have to get her to cook up a meal for us when we're done this.
Okay, they're looking now to
Yeah, Ontario's looking to hit and then avoid the jam. Okay, they got rid of both, so that's good. Everything's open.
Shot.
Yeah, very good shot. That was a important shot.
It's so nice to hear the different sounds from all the fans cheering.
Yeah.
You may have missed a shot, but as soon as you hear the moose called, you knew something's
Yeah,
happening with
you
the
know
Northern
something's
Ontario
there,
game.
or the cowbells from another team. Oh yeah, the flags are. Oh, it's just a great experience.
It's a great atmosphere.
It really is.
I'm very impressed with the sweeping ability of all these teams.
Yeah.
I think they do a lot of off-ice training. And
Yeah. No, they're in good positions. You know, head over the brush head and feet outside the hip line. All of those good things straight back. But really, what we've seen is their ability to judge the weight. Um, we've had very few
Overswept
over,
rocks
yeah, or
or
underswept. They
underswept. Yeah.
uh, really judge the weight well and communicate well. And I'm sure they're talking to each other as they're sweeping, but their communication between the house, to allow the skip to make Plan Bs. Yeah, yeah, they are really impressive.
I think though, do you think that the ice conditions makes it sometimes easier because it's a consistent ice condition, so the paths stay
Yeah,
the same through the game?
yeah.
So is that a great advantage? Or
That helps for sure. Yeah, that they're playing, for 3 or 4 days on the same sort of ice conditions. I think the ice makers are doing a great job here.
and I like that the curling club has the same ice conditions. It
Yeah,
seems like
it
as the
seems that
arena
what we've been
when we've
talking.
popped
Yeah,
over and talked to a few of the
yeah.
players.
Well, that was an unfortunate. I think we got a miss there. Couldn't tell with all the players around. Yes, unfortunately, that hit and roll out to blank, was a little bit wide and gives up a steal. But again, I think they're pretty well coached to realize, okay, well, we gave up one, but we still have hammer. We can still set up for our two.
So what are a couple of options now the teams can do here to try to force or
Yeah, this is an interesting thing with the Saskatchewan team now. They're up one without. So what is their strategy? Are they going to go hard to force one and take hammer in an extra? Are they going to see if they can steal one to close out the game? Yeah, there's different thoughts.
I like throwing up a tight guard
Tight guard
and
first.
then you can feel out the waters and
Yeah, you kind of probe and see what's going to happen, but you want it tight because you want to have options with it. If it's long, even a mid guard, there's enough curl here for the other team to get behind it. So you do want it tight, a couple feet in front of the rings, something you could either tap up later or use. You don't want to leave it too long, and it looks like they're coming in pretty good.
oh, it's a good guard
Yep,
there.
yeah, that's pretty close.
Ontario
Well,
should come around, and I think they will.
I think so. I think they have to try to get their deuce here. The other option, of course, is to throw up a corner if they want to get their deuce. It's the guessing game. If we throw up a corner, is Saskatchewan coming behind right away? So we want to get there first. Yeah, this is the real. This is the end. It's going to be a lot of strategy, a lot of tactics.
So, and if you throw up a corner guard, do you think some teams would often or even think about coming around the corner versus coming around center?
If I was going to throw up a corner, I'd be surprised if the other team came around my corner. Um, I think
Definitely go
they'd go around center, try to control the top of the house.
So Ontario came back a little back too deep, so it's going to give
Timeout.
timeout for Saskatchewan.
We'll see what the coach. This is their second and last timeout, and
Ontario still has 2 timeouts left, so we'll
That's
take a
correct.
little break.
Okay, timeout's over. Looks like the coach went through a series of questions, and maybe it looks like they're going to take a play on that red rock, the Ontario rock in the back four.
So then this will allow Ontario to either make the decision to peel the front and figure out that they're going to take the one and go, or we'll see what they're going to do.
We'll see what their plan.
What their plan is.
Yeah, I'm sure that their coach said, okay, what if Saskatchewan does this? What are we going to counter with? And they'll have a plan.
Yeah, the difference with our timeouts and the world timeouts is that both coaches get to go on the ice when a timeout is called. At world level, only the coach that calls the timeout is the teams that get to come.
That's right. So now we got the nose hit. It rolled a touch. It's in the back four, but that's the key, that it's behind the T line. So Ontario is kind of happy. They have that that situation.
So they are playing for their deuce, which is, I really like that they have the opportunity now that you can try to get your deuce and win the game.
Yeah, they've got a guard and a rock behind the T line.
And strategies can always change by even like a half a rock position. That's hard to teach sometimes.
It is. Yeah, we talk about that. You can't go through every combination of shots, but what we can talk about is the recognizing the opportunities given.
This is a great shot by Ontario.
This looks like a really good shot. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So they're going to try to hit and roll. And even if they lose their back one, they will not be too sad.
No. Because actually, for Saskatchewan right now, the rock that's hurting them is their own in the back four. Yeah, they recognize it though.
So Nova Scotia just made a great draw to tie the game up, so there's going to be an extra end on sheet A. It's a great draw.
Good for them.
Nova Scotia are having a good week so far. I think they're 2-1.
So that was a nice pick.
Yeah, nice shot.
A nice shot. Picked it right out of there. But it still does leave their own there that Ontario can use. But switch gears. Switch gears. We're going to keep it open. We're going to make... As they switch gears, the coach saw something else. So
the coach will sit down and give them his options. And I think the question will be to the players is, if you peel this, are you willing to go to an extra end?
That's right.
Because that's what's going to happen. So I think he's just giving them their options of what they want to do right here.
And that's a good statement. Give them a second to explain their options. And they come up with the solution, guide them to the way you want. Yeah, this is good. Good call by Ontario coach.
And they still have to make the rock, so they still have to believe it. So you can you can guide them and give them what you think is the best call.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they have to be confident in what they're throwing. So
exactly.
So a lot of coaches will guide them and give them suggestions and say, if you do this, here's what's going to happen, and then let them make the decision sometimes.
Because they're the one throwing it. They know the ice. They know the feel. They know how they're feeling.
And apparently he sat down and talked to them about how do we get our deuce if you remove the guard. And sometimes we just get tunnel vision and we want that rock out of the way.
That's right. Yeah.
So good for the coach for calling a timeout on that.
Yeah. And the team will fully buy into it because let's see how they react. Hopefully they know this path and they're making the best use of the guard and the rock behind the T line.
And let's see, this was the path that didn't curl as much
in
the earlier ends.
Earlier ends, and we tended to be a little bit heavier on this path, if you remember in...
the brushes are close, though, so...
Yeah, not a lot of rotation on this one, so it might curl a little bit more. As long as it's by, and it is by the center. Now it's got to slow down. Just a little bit warm.
But the red rock is there. It's in.
But it's in play. That's key, isn't it, Leslie? And it's key that it's in play.
So now this again, Saskatchewan can change gears, and now what they're going to do is they're going to put one 8 foot just biting 4. So now they're in the opportunity to steal by just that rock coming back that little bit deep.
Yeah.
The Northern Ontario game has also ended, and Northern Ontario beat Quebec. It was 7-1, I think.
Oh, looks like a good rock coming for Saskatchewan. It's gliding pretty good though.
Can't go too deep.
You won't want to go behind. Just get. I think that's another thing too in this arena ice. The rock. It's not like it's faster, but it just seems to glide easier. And sometimes you get caught in between the hog lines, thinking it's a little slow, and you give it a little brush, and it glides at the end a little.
Chris Tapley is the ice maker here, and he's doing a fantastic job of the ice.
He's a great ice maker, one of the best in Canada.
And he's from New Brunswick.
Yes.
So he does a lot of the provincial events, I think. So I think he spends a lot of time going to different clubs.
Oh yeah.
And he's a great student. He loves to learn. We've worked with him at a curling camp in Atlanta, Canada, and he absolutely loves learning new things. And he's a great ice maker.
Yeah. He really is. I had the good fortune a few years ago to take a Brock women's team to China for the Yicheng Bonspiel, women's Bonspiel, and Chris was the head ice maker there, so we got to know him quite well. Terrific guy, and really knows his craft.
And he loves what he does.
And he loves it.
Very important.
Which is really
loves what he does.
Yeah.
And I know our ice maker, when he first started, he did some work with Chris, and he was so willing to share his information.
Yes, that's another key thing. Yeah.
Okay, so Saskatchewan now, we're going to come down on top of the red. Red Ontario's came back just behind T-line, so it's given...
Just that 2 feet heavy, and it's on the same path.
And Saskatchewan are okay, too, though. If they give up one, they're playing this that the steal is on now.
Yeah.
And they're in a great position that they're either going to steal or maybe just
force one, because they've got a lot of rocks in the forefoot. Not a lot of scoring area.
We're down to thirds first stone now, so I think they're just going to come dry and start jiggling stuff around a little bit.
Yep.
So the Alberta host game is over, and it was 7-5. That looked like a really great game over there.
Well, that's good for the host to
team.
Come back, because they were struggling to start the game, gave up 4 in the first end, and so good for them to hang in there.
I keep telling the teams, if you're going to give up 4, give it up in the first end. You've got 7 more ends to catch up.
That's right.
It's hard to catch up if you're giving up 4 and 7.
Yeah, it is.
4 and 1, you have a chance.
You have a chance. Okay, let's see if we get the speed right here. It's got to get to the inside, but it didn't quite get to the inside of the yellow. But we've got a big wall there.
They need to trust their sweepers, I think, in this path, because it doesn't come in till the very end.
That's right.
And that's a lot of times with arena ice. It's more weight sensitive. So you have to be really mindful of the weight.
Yeah. Yeah, not to be critical, but this path has been played quite a bit, and they're just struggling with the right weight.
Looks like now the Saskatchewan team are sweeping this one, so they may.
So maybe they give it to the sweepers, and then again, it's what is the tolerance here?
This looks like a great shot.
Yeah, they gave it to the sweepers. Yeah, that's an excellent shot.
Perfect shot. Yeah. And it is. The line is definitely a little bit straighter out there, so they really need to be mindful that it's weight sensitive. So throw a foot less weight and leave it for your sweepers, and it'll be in perfect position. This is you couldn't put that in a better spot.
No, that's an excellent spot.
They need to try to move stuff around a little bit.
They have to. I think it's time to throw something and jiggle it around a bit and get that button open. Because right now the button's not accessible, and they need that for their skipper's last shot to score one.
I think they may be worried about the jam, but I think at least if the red rock is in the front, we have something to work with.
Yeah. Timeout.
Timeout.
Timeout. it's a good time to call it too, because if the team isn't buying into it, it seems like maybe there's a couple of options, and they want to make sure that all four of them are buying into the shot.
And they need to talk 3 shots ahead. So they have 3
Yep.
rocks left. So
Yep.
sometimes, again, we talk about needing to be shot rock right away. But at this point, they definitely need to have the red in control.
Yeah.
So they can use it for the skips last.
Yeah. We'll take a little break. Okay, Leslie Ann, they've had their last time out. They've sorted it all out. It's now down to execution. We've got.
I think they're going to play it. I think they need to play hit because I really think they need to move some of that yellow out of the way.
I think so
give them
too.
Access.
I agree. We got young Sarah Bailey, Vice throwing her second stone.
She'll be throwing a bit of weight at this, I assume.
I think so. She looks like she'd come firing out there. All about trusting. And of course the tolerance was to get rid of the center. Oh, this looks like a good one.
What a great
Beautiful
shot.
Well done.
Great sweeping.
Yeah.
Sweepers.
Yeah, they just got it by that guard, and excellent.
That's where you look at your front end and go, thank you, sweepers.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, she threw a good one, and they held it for her.
Now it's still back a little bit, so it still gives Saskatchewan a chance to get in. And
yeah, the button's still there, and there's a lot, way too many rocks for Ontario's liking in the back forefoot. But it's exciting, isn't it? We've had a well-played game. And it's going to come down to Skipper's last shot, I'm pretty sure.
You may get an extra end out of this
You
and
might.
Get your money's worth.
You might. Yeah.
So I think right now Ontario are sitting 1 and Saskatchewan are sitting 2nd and 3rd shots.
I think so, yeah. Okay.
This is starting.
Yeah. Now see, we're on a different side. This side might curl a little more, but that's still a good shot.
Yeah. Came up a little short, so
Came up a little late. But she's still blocking the path to the button for Ontario to get a 2. So they're gonna have to come the other way.
So I think if they throw just back 4 weight, they might be able to get a little.
Yeah.
They're hoping to get on the inside of the yellow and they can sit 2.
And sit 2, and with backing. Yep.
So this again is where it's going to be really weight sensitive. So hopefully that they'll trust their sweepers and let it, because it curls really nice if you throw the right weight.
It does. It'll curl, but most of them down this path have been that back 8 sort of weight, and it hasn't curled like they wanted.
The ice makers are going to be busy. They actually have to go to these sheets and then go over and do the curling club side.
Yeah.
Okay, they're coming now with sweeping. So the girls are sweeping.
Yep. So it's on off a little bit. Now they're looking at line. Got to get to the inside. Going to curl up enough for it. It looks like it is.
What a great
Another shot. That's 2 really good shots in a row, but but Saskatchewan has the tap. That rock that she missed a little bit light was the right way to miss, and they've given themselves a chance.
So Ontario is sitting 1-2 right now.
Yeah.
So she's going to try to tap hers into the pocket.
It's amazing what one center guard will do, isn't it? They started with that one center guard, and look at all the action we've had behind it. Yeah. They know the path. They know the way. Got to go through her pre-shot routine. Settle herself down and just let it happen. Just trust.
I'm noticing some of these Saskatchewan teams in their delivery, they don't have a pullback.
No,
so
no.
they just go straight out.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said. If there's the less movement, the less room for error.
I don't see the brushers down on this. You want to see at least one person cleaning. Let's see if it'll come in enough. I think the weight's good, but it's a little bit warm.
Just a little heavy.
Just a little heavy. Back just through weight, so I think Ontario's lying too, so
Ontario
time
wins.
for handshake. So Ontario's going to take this one, go 3-0. They're going to win by a score of 6-5. That was a really good game, and what an exciting last end.
Congratulations to the two teams. They're playing
Yeah,
extremely
they're
well.
both playing well. Both have great game plans and end plans and a lot of great execution. So that was great. So thanks again, and for everyone who's listening in, and we're going to be back at 2 o'clock this Eastern time, out here time. And who have we got up, Leslie?
We have up this afternoon, we have Manitoba and the host team.
All right, that'll be great. So we'll see you then. Bye for now.